Wise, where we share health tips and how we can regain and maintain healthy bodies and minds God's way. Let us pray to begin. Our wonderful God and our Savior, we thank you, as always, for the blessing that you have given unto us. And as we share it with others, we pray that they will indeed be blessed. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Our theme scripture is 3 John 1 verse 2. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. Today we will be looking at project number 8, Healthy Body Products. The idea for this video is to encourage us to find out healthier substitutions for the products that we use on our bodies. And as we become aware of these products, to utilize them and to share them with those that we encounter. So I have Sister Simone and Sister Dacia with me today, and we will just be looking at some healthier options that we can utilize on our bodies. Sister Dacia, as we become more knowledgeable in this whole health reform message, we understand that it's not just about diet, right? But it's also about the products that we use on our bodies. And we know for a fact that whatever we apply to our bodies, it is absorbed into the body, because the skin is the largest organ,
Right.
and it is a porous organ. It's like a sponge, basically.
Yes.
Right? So let's expound a little bit more on this. How mindful should we be? Can we just apply anything to our body? What are some of the dangers of not being conscious of what we put on our bodies?
Well, we should always take into consideration whenever we are putting anything into our system that our system does not belong to us. It is the temple of God. And He has lent it to us. It's not for us. He has lent it to us so that we can use it for His glory. We can use it to benefit other persons. And if we should take toxic things into our system and shorten our lives, or make ourselves ill, then we won't be able to carry out the work that He wants us to.
Right. And there are so many there are so many beauty products out there, and now we are seeing that there are so many health beauty products coming on the market as well, right? But being who we are and knowing what we know, even those that are deemed healthy that are on the market, we can't trust them, right? And so the safest route for us is to make our own, right? Because when we make our own, we know what is in it, and we're not going to use the chemicals that are not supposed to enter our bodies, right? And I know many persons, they have super sensitive skins, and they can't use just any beauty products, whether it be soap or lotion. They have to buy
Scented ones.
unscented, right,
or for sensitive skin.
Right, for sensitive skin. So that in itself shows that the things that we put on our bodies, it affects us super somehow, right? And what are some of those reactions that persons may have?
Sometimes persons may have rashes, itching,
Acne.
right, acne.
Those breakouts
Yes.
and things like that. And you know, those are the more obvious reactions.
Right. And even swelling.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
And even Secretarian, you said that our skin is porous, which means that anything goes through our skin, it enters the bloodstream, right? So for things that have lead in it, it can cause lead poisoning. And it affects us slowly over time, especially the beauty products, the makeups, and all those things, they affect our blood and cause us to
Right.
have blood that
Impure. That is
impure.
impure.
Right.
And what about one of the main ingredients in some of these things is the dye.
Right, the red number
Right.
40, the yellow number 4, and those are carcinogenic, which means that they are cancerous.
Right, and it also would affect the liver. Right. So, you know, we really have to become more conscious,
Yeah.
you know, and as you say, not only about the regular things that we use, but also those that are coming out calling themselves natural, because there's so many of them on the market now. While some we can, for the time being, we be able to safely use them, you know, we have to read the labels and know whatever is on it. We should know what it actually is, right? And you know,
And it's really very easy to use these things because they are sweet, they're nice,
right,
and they're convenient,
right.
So
And
it is
the price
easy.
is reasonable too.
Some of them,
Right.
they're especially the cheaper soaps and things like that. They're very convenient, and to make your own and all of that is not everybody wants to do that when you have the supermarket there, and it's easy to gravitate to these things, not being mindful that they're affecting us physically. Even if we move to like things like the stay free that we use, we have to be very mindful of the ones that we choose, because some of them after a certain time they will produce gels that are um go back up into your system,
Right.
and produce certain odor, which is not healthy. So we have to be mindful, as Sister Dacia, we spoke about other substitute of making pads even for country living to
Right.
come up. So we have to really think and ponder about these things, how we're going to navigate through these things. Now is the time.
Right. And as you mentioned, prices, sometimes persons gravitate to the cheaper products rather than to the so-called natural products.
Yes, which
Because
are most likely expensive.
right, usually because they are natural, they are supposed to be better,
Yes.
so they carry a high price. And that in itself, it pushes people away from what is supposed to be the healthier option, and they want to go to the cheaper option, not knowing that these products they can make for themselves.
Right. And that's a good point. And just, you know, to touch on what you talk about country living, you know, say it again, knowing what we know and where we are heading. Right, now is the time for us to make that transition. So yes, they have the charcoal toothpaste in the supermarkets. They have the natural soaps and all of those things. For some persons who want to come off like the Colgate and the Protex and those things that are more
Deadly, because Colgate has fluoride,
right.
and some other types of toothpaste has fluoride in it. And what does that do? It decalcifies your bones,
Right.
and it deteriorates your brain. So these are things that we truly do not know. We honestly don't know, and we're living on these things, which now is the time, and this is why we're here to encourage you guys to pull away from these things.
Right. So some persons, as they make the transition from those that are the worst, and they may want to see healthier products. There are some that you can find
On the market.
on the market that are healthier. But where we really want to go as we seek to
Make
go to the
our
country
own.
is to make our own. And one thing I love about what Sister Wise said, she said God's way is simple. Simple. Right? So we want to think of the simplest of ways, things that the poor man, as she
Affordable.
mentioned about price.
Price.
Some person would want to use the natural stuff, but they are not able to afford it, and so they basically don't have any option but to stick to the cheap and the bad,
Right.
right? So once again, that is where we come in as educators, as we utilize these things, as we test them and we prove them, to share, to enter homes and to teach persons how to make these products themselves, how, showing them that
There's a
there's
better way.
right, there's a better way, and there's no processing some of these things. All you have to do is to pick,
Mix.
right,
Right.
mix or just pick
Match.
and use, you know. So we just want to showcase a few things here that we would have utilized personally, you know, but right, and at the same time to maybe discuss some other things that we, you know,
We'll be using, especially in country living.
right. So you know, and it's such a wonderful thing. I don't know about others, but it's a wonderful thing for me and a wonderful experience, you know. And it also cut costs because deodorant is expensive, you know, and the prices keep climbing and all of those things. And when you don't have to buy these things, there's less stress. You know, your outcome is less. You don't have to be spending all of this money.
Expense.
Right, your expense is less.
Right.
You know, so God is a wonderful God, I would say.
God will provide ways for
Yes.
us.
Right. So one of the easiest one for toothpaste. It's a small.
As you say, we can use the charcoal.
The
And
charcoal.
I always grow to know that it whitens teeth,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so we can use it and use it not only for internal use, because we know it gets rid of gas and bloating and all
Right.
this, but for our teeth, for our tooth.
Right. Right.
And also it gets rid of odor from the
Right.
breath because yes, it deodorizes.
Right. And there are different ways that you can use a charcoal, but the simplest way that I use it is to just wet my toothbrush and just dip it.
Right. And
Right.
you can even use a little wet your brush in a little coconut oil, which gives an added benefit
Right.
because the coconut oil, it is antibacterial in nature, so it helps to fight off the bacteria in our mouth that
Right.
would cause cavities.
Right. And so just going to add. You can add it to the charcoal. Just
So
going
you
to
add the
make a little
coconut
mix.
oil to the charcoal and you mix. And then
And these things are easy. You can, there's no set rules.
you can make your own charcoal and
Just,
you can make your own coconut oil.
that's what I was just about to say.
And you can add a
Cost
little,
effective.
right, you can add a little
Peppermint
Peppermint.
oil.
essence, or, right.
And there goes your toothpaste.
And I realized when I add the peppermint oil to it, it gives it this flavor that the regular toothpaste has.
Right.
So you don't miss the taste of the regular toothpaste.
Because it's a mint flavor that they usually
Right.
put in
Spearmint, peppermint. So we have
And you can also add a little salt, table salt or baking soda.
the aluminum-free baking soda. Right. So it's basically a paste, you know, and you brush and you wash out, and that's basically it. So it
you-
does the job.
Right.
so it does the cleaning and it takes care of the breath.
Right.
And
And it saves money.
right. Right.
And how would you get the peppermint in the country?
You just plant your own peppermint.
and you do the extract
Right. Or you
Right.
could just smash it. You could just smash it.
and mix it in the.
Right.
And some persons, they for mouthwash use, they just say chew and feel mint use.
Right.
And that helps to freshen the
And
breath.
trust me, viewers, this smells so good.
Right.
It smells great.
And the coconut oil won't rancid so easily, so you can, and you don't have to make it a full, you don't have to make a extra
Large
amount.
amount.
You can probably just do it on a weekly basis or a day, however you choose to do it.
Right.
Right? And as you say, you can basically do it as well you would want to.
Right.
So
So that's it for toothpaste.
for toothpaste, but there are other things that can clean the mouth, like the neem stick,
Right.
right? And in some parishes still able to get the chew stick, and even the guava stick, because the guava have the said antibacterial properties, so you can use it. This the soft twig,
Right.
and you chew it out like a brush, and guava is good for anything relating to the mouth,
Right.
like toothache and all this. So there are things that we can use, and also what in relation to our mouth and all of that. It depends on the food that we're eating as well. So if we're on a plant-based diet, then that will help for us to have fresher breath. That is not hard to manage, right? So that also helps. And we are going to look at hair oil. So this hair oil is um, what is left of it. I got it from Sister Delicia for my daughter, and she loves it. And it's a pleasure to use it. Sister Small.
Knowing that it's natural. All
Right,
natural.
right. And she's going to share some of what she would have put in it.
Okay. So I just infused some herbs in the coconut oil. You can add a mixture of oils: coconut, your olive oil, your avocado oil. You can just warm the oil and allow them to cool, and you add your herbs. The herbs, they were in the powdered form, so like the rosemary, the neem, lemongrass, anything that you desire. You would just dry it, powder it, infuse it in your oil, leave it overnight or a few days. And after you have infused it, you can use it as is, or if you want it in the form that your regular hair oil comes in, you want it in a paste form, you can just add some beeswax. Or if you want to use the coconut oil, you can use it and put it in a very cool area and it will harden. Or if you don't have the beeswax available, or you can use other waxes. They have soy wax and other waxes that you can use. So if you don't have the beeswax, any wax, you can just use as is. And you can add a little essential oil like a peppermint oil. It gives this not only flavor, but it gives this stimulating effect on the scalp.
Right.
Yes. So you can add, and you can add your tea tree oil. Yes, that gives a stimulating effect, and also that helps to kill any germs in the hair, right?
Sounds like good food for the hair.
I'm saying.
Right. And I realize when I use the lemongrass in it, it gives this nice fragrance,
Right.
all natural.
Right, it does have a wonderful smell.
Or you can use lots of rosemary, whichever you prefer, whichever herb you prefer, your clove, and you can have a wonderful smelling oil without any
Harmful chemicals.
right.
So your hair don't have to be breaking away because of dryness in country living.
Right.
There goes
And then
oil substitute.
right,
No
and then you could
parabens.
just use the coconut
Coconut
oil
oil.
as it is,
Right.
and
And
also
avocado oil as well.
Right.
and also the castor oil. I think you
Oh,
can
yes.
live the
The
castor
best.
oil. Right, so we don't really have to worry about these things. And in relation to washing the hair, I
Aloe
can
vera.
tell when last I use a shampoo.
That's good.
Right, I use the aloe vera. You know, the only struggle is to get out the pieces. So what I say is to just blend it out and spray it
Right.
and massage it and put a
Yes.
bag over it to let it steam. And
Yes.
And the aloe vera mixed with the castor oil is a good steam.
Right.
That is what I use in my hair to steam it.
Mhm.
And the leave-in is the aloe vera.
Okay.
You know how they would have leave-in conditioner on the
right,
market?
Right.
My leave-in conditioner is the aloe vera.
Right, and as we put these things in our hair, it is also benefiting the hair. So it's not just washing your hair,
Right.
but you're also feeding it. You're giving it medicine so that it can be strengthened. So
The
that
scalp too.
right, right. And as we mentioned before, that whatever we put on our skin, even when when you're washing your hair and you
Massage it.
so
It's a therapeutic.
right. So whatever is in your whatever you're massaging the hair with, is actually you're
Seeping.
penetrating it into your scalp. So we really have to be conscious about what we are
Right.
rubbing in so rigorously.
Right.
Right. So it's like we are ensuring that it's going in.
Mm.
So we want to use something that is healthy to go in.
And there are so many things on the market these days. See people putting out some very new products and the hair family right now is getting wider and wider. Each person coming up with their hairline and stuff like that.
Right.
And we have these wonderful things. And what they do is to use these natural things, mix it with the synthetic,
Right.
and give you for your money and say, oh, these are healthy
Right.
products. But we have the same thing that they are using and mimicking and using these things to grab our money. And we have
Right.
these things and not even making use of them.
And that's why God said,
Right.
come by without money and
Amen.
without price.
Right.
So we have to accept the blessing that God has given us. And so we looked at toothpaste, we looked at hair oil, we looked at shampoo and conditioner and all of that. Another one that we want to look at is deodorant. We don't want to be smelly. And even though we want to refrain from certain things, at the same time we want to right and how we carry ourselves, because we are representing
royal priesthood.
right. So what I have experienced on is the arrow powder and the coconut oil, and it's so simple.
Right. I've tried that one as well.
And it works for you.
Yes.
Right. But there's another one that we can also try. It's the cornstarch, and it basically works the same way.
And many of we're on deodorant. Many of the deodorants that are on the market now has something called aluminum. And what that does when you use that underneath your arm, it possibly brings breast cancer.
Right.
Many persons who come down with breast cancer do not know that it's the deodorant that they might be using that
Right.
cause them to develop this cancer.
And as you said that the so-called healthier alternatives to deodorant, oftentimes persons buy them and they have aluminum in a different form and persons don't realize. Right, so you may see alum. Alum
Okay.
is a salt of aluminum. So you have to be very mindful. You may see potassium. You may see, when you see alum, it's a salt of aluminum. So you have to be really mindful.
Right. And that is why we cannot trust the system. We can only trust God.
Right.
We cannot trust because the thing about this is that you may understand the scientific names and you can look right at the bottom to back this product and say, no. But the common persons, they just want to see that it is
natural.
Right. And that is one of the deception that is upon the world now. There's a counterfeit health message that has taken over the world. And many persons are being deceived by what is healthy and what is not. And once again, this is where we come
Because
in.
and they know that people getting self-conscious even as we
Right,
draw closer to
right,
the end.
right, sis. And you know, the work is out there for us. The work of educating, the work of teaching persons, the work of bringing things to their awareness so that they can become conscious and make better decisions. And so,
The harvest is plenty.
right,
Laborers
right.
are few.
And as you're using the cornstarch, it is something that we can make from our very own corn that we grow in our backyard.
Mhm.
We can make our own arrowroot starch from our arrowroot. We can
Right.
use cassava starch. Whatever starchy food we have, we can use it because
Right.
anything that is suitable for eating, anything that is goes into our on our skin goes into our body. So it's better when our products they are when we use products that are edible. So we are sure that we're not putting anything that is harmful in our system.
Right. And you're just adding enough coconut oil to make it into a moist paste.
And you can add a little essential oil
Right.
to it.
Not always give it a kick.
Right.
And
And
you
the,
would go ahead.
yes, and the essential oils too, they normally help to kill the bacteria that
Right,
will
right.
cause the underarm odor.
Right.
Right.
And the beauty about this, it will not clog
The
the
pores.
pores because we are supposed to sweat.
Inspire.
Right, we are supposed to sweat. You know, so we don't want anything to necessarily clog our pores. We want the body to still be able to perspire, breathe. Right, so this is a wonderful thing. As I say, just make it into a pliable paste, and you just dip and
Apply.
apply. And you would
Right.
store it in a glass jar on your bathroom shelf, covered. And as I say, we recommend not to make a big batch at a time. You know, you can make a week's worth. That's really right.
Right.
The thing about it, the one that I made at home, I have it for over a month or so, and it
Me
was still
too.
good. The one with
Me
the
too.
arrowroot, it was still good. So it's
Right. Once there is no water content in it, then it will keep for a good while.
right. So and it's very very easy. And you know, though we would have put this together, the cornstarch and the coconut oil, you know, if you don't have coconut oil, you could simply add the water. As you mentioned that we can make our own cornstarch and arrowroot starch, cassava starch, whatever it is. You can simply add a little water to that and still do it.
Yes,
You
make
know.
a little paste.
Right, you may have to reapply throughout the day. It may
Yes.
not be 12-hour lasting,
Right.
like the artificial
That's
stuff.
expected.
Right, you know, but that's okay.
I was
Right.
just about to ask you about the experience with it. Because
I think it is not as lasting as the store-bought stuff.
Well, with me, I find that sometimes I may still sweat, but it's just that it doesn't have the odor, right? And we don't necessarily have to use deodorant if we're not going out.
Right,
And
that's
it's
other
not all the time that your arm smells. Sometimes you're there sweating, but it doesn't carry an odor. So if you don't actually have to use it, then
you don't have to.
right.
Right.
But preferably when you're going out, you would want to use it as caution because
Right.
you don't want to bring any offense while you're
To yourself.
out. Right.
Drawing attention to yourself. But even with the odor too, it's really what we eat. You know, so if we're on a plant-based diet,
It
we
may not be
find
as
that
strong.
as strong and you know the bacteria that your body is producing, you might not have that issue with maybe somebody who is on a dietary meat and every other thing.
Right.
Right.
And it goes back to cleanliness because
Babe.
yes, most times
Wash your
it's
clothes.
yes, it's the bacteria that causes the odor. So once our skin is properly cleaned, that it, well, somebody actually said that they use, something like alcohol. I wouldn't suggest alcohol, but the principle behind it is that it kills the bacteria. So she said that she found that very effective. But other persons would have used the lime or
Right.
lemon.
Right. I was going to come to that
Right.
because a more simpler option to this may be the lime and the lemon. I have tried that as well. It may not work for everybody based on the sensitivity of skin and all of those things, but that's another option. And you may use the lime and you think you could just utilize it or whatever. But you wanted to say something?
Okay. Another thing I use is the essential oil. I just use it as is, or if you want to dilute it, because sometimes it may be too strong. It may cause burning for some persons, depending on the type of essential oil. But when I'm hurrying, sometimes that's a go-to,
Okay.
and it has the nice flavor as well as the antibacterial properties.
Right. So they kill the bacteria that would cause the odor.
Right.
So we have options, right?
Right.
We have
Yeah.
options. Wonderful. And how about soap? So they say the fan of making soaps.
Amen. I am a recipient of one of her soaps.
Right. You want to share about your soap making?
Well, the soap is actually a product of oil and lye. You can make your own lye using ashes. So you would just boil it down to a consistency where when I put a piece of potato in it, it stays afloat. So you boil it until it reaches, and then you mix it with your oil, and then you can get your soup. So, and you have other alternatives. Persons would have used like the
Country
ackee pod.
living.
Right.
Right. And this is the orange peel powder. Right. You dry it and grind it. Right. It is said to be used as for bathing as well, or for facial mask and all of those things. So it's just the wet it, you know.
So we always show these though.
And this, we shall do a video on this,
Okay.
right? Because this is so powerful. So powerful. We need naturally orange skin.
All you have to do is to dry it properly and to grind it.
Right. And this can also be used as a repellent.
Right.
When just peel, you can put it at the windows and different insects it will have to repel them. So that's another alternative because the store-bought insect sprays are very terrible, especially if you have respiratory issues. And if you don't, it can cause you to have respiratory issues. So we need to think of natural substitutes for the things that we are using in and around our house. How about when we're cleaning, where I can't tell when last I buy fabric soap. No, not detergent. I still use detergent. But fabric softener and those things, I don't go out of my way to. Honestly, I stopped doing right. I stopped doing certain things because I'm cutting myself off because I'm
Making in the mood for
right. So I don't go out of the way to buy certain things. I still buy soap and those things, but to clean the house, we can use vinegar. Now why we can buy vinegar, we can use vinegar. And we
instead
can
of taking it internally, which is
right. We can use it to clean our houses. Right, and we can infuse it with this lemon
Peel,
and
right?
even this as well, and mix it part and part with water and
Right. Any citrus peel.
even the rosemary and those things. Let it infuse for about a week, and then you put it in a spray bottle or you put it on your floor.
Right.
And even the lemon, you can use the lemon juice to wipe your house as well.
Because
Right.
majority of the cleaners that are in the market, you realize that
They
they
got
add
it, right.
lemon to it.
And these things have antibacterial and
Right.
antifungal properties, and even for persons with moldy house, the
Right.
vinegar, the lemon can help to get rid of those things.
And I realized that most of the products on the market that have the lemon scented flavor, it's not actually lemon, but it's limonene, a chemical that smells just like lemon.
That's
Scam.
synthetic.
And
It's
it's
a
very
synthetic.
carcinogenic, so we have to be careful about our lemon scented products.
And
that
how
we-
we're inhaling these things.
Right,
Right.
because I like lemon. I love lemon and lemon flavored products. But I realize that most of them, even some of them, even though they have the natural lemon, they still add
Right.
this carcinogen.
Right.
Yes.
And we have to be aware of these things, not only for ourselves, but as we minister to those persons who are sick, especially to those who have
Educate them.
cancer,
Right.
especially to those who have cancer and other hormonal
Imbalance.
issues.
Right.
Right, they should not be using store-bought chemicals.
Right.
So we have to help them. We have to show them how simple it is.
Even the very vinegar, you can make it yourself.
Right. We will have to show videos on some of these.
So they say we have to
Simple.
do that.
Right.
Yes,
Some of
we
these.
can all do it.
Right. Some of these simple things. Even the baking soda, you can, as I mentioned about the vinegar, these things should not be used internally, but we can use it to help clean our houses.
Because this is good to get rid of odor as well.
Right,
So
right.
you put it in your sink and you put the vinegar in it, odor gone.
Right. So as we learn these things, we also want to share it and show the people how easy it is. Because sometimes they Jamaicans don't like
Hard work.
long talking, hard work. They want something quick. But we know that the quick does not always work, especially when it comes to the medical missionary thing. It does not work. But when it comes to certain things, it can be quick. The medical missionary work is a simple thing if they are willing to follow.
And if you're educated on these things, because if you don't know these things, how you go apply?
Right.
And in the country we will be forced to use these things when we can't buy in ourselves. We have to use it
And persons won't embrace it.
until then.
Right. And so we want know that God has given us this time of
Practice.
training. We want to accept
Utilize the
and
time.
utilize, and as we see, we have the opportunity now
Right.
To learn of these things.
And one of the things that we should try to do while we have the opportunities to learn from the older folks.
Yes.
They have a wealth of knowledge,
Yes.
and we realize that it has not been passed down to our generation.
Because we're in the past.
Right. Some persons, they don't appreciate the primitive ways of doing things. Right. Right.
And they will be so glad to know
Glad.
that
Because they love the talk.
they may be astonished what this young girl want to know.
Right.
But they will share. And because they really want to share, but they don't have anyone to share it with.
Nobody
So when
is interested in
Right,
it.
so when we present ourselves, they will give us that
Happily.
wealth and knowledge
Happily.
that will be for our benefit and to share with others. So
And with their knowledge and our knowledge, it's perfect because back then I used to see my grandmother love to drink vervain. But now I know about and learn about vervain. I know that it's a laxative, so you don't drink it every day. But she used to drink it every day, all day. So with her knowledge of vervain and
Right.
what they think it's used for, we can combine that with what we know,
Right.
and we have a wealth of knowledge.
Because that's one of the things, as you're mentioning, that they know that it is good, but they may not understand
How to use it.
use it. Right. So once again, I'm just going to say we have our work to do.
Right.
We have our work to do. And we pray that God will help us to embrace the word that He has set before us, because this work is a blessing.
Right.
It's a blessing.
And even more so a blessing when we apply it
to our
Personally.
personal life.
And when we go out and people see the passion and we
A
can
strong
give.
testimony.
Right.
And so though we may not understand everything, God is still willing to work with us and to equip us and to make us what He wants us to be. You know, so once more we encourage you to learn, practice, apply, share, teach, so that others can be benefited as we experience the blessing of these things that God has led us to. So until next time, take care.